Today, wherever it may be, with our presentation by first student.
Good evening. Board Chairman McClendon, members of the Board of Education, members of the administration. First of all, my name is Dean Surrey. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for First Student. And I want to start off tonight by thanking you for your business. We continue to be very grateful to be here in Hamilton County. And again, thank you for the awesome responsibility you've entrusted us with. We take very, very seriously each and every day, and that's getting your kids to and from school every single day. Once again, appreciate your time this evening. And I'll start off by telling you a little bit about our company. First Student carries 5 million students to and from school each and every day. And to us, that is, as I said a moment ago, that is an awesome responsibility. Not only are we highly committed to caring for those kids, getting them to school safely and on time every day, but we also work very hard to learn from each and every mile that we travel. And so I think you'll hear from us a little bit tonight about how we work very hard to constantly improve our safety, our maintenance, our things like driver training and driver onboarding. So again, we hope to talk to you a little bit about that this evening. I hope you hear 4 things from us this evening. First of all, safety is a never-ending journey. It's something we are very, very committed to. It's something that impacts every decision each and every person behind me makes every day. It's something I think about every day. Second of all, process discipline is part of who we are. We work very hard to distill best practices throughout our organization, and you'll hear a little bit about that tonight when you hear about driver scoring and our maintenance programs. Third of all, very, very committed to open communication, and that means transparency. I talk to these folks all the time about making sure that you guys know what's going on in our operations, making sure that when something does happen that you're hearing about that from us and hearing about what we're going to do about it. So we want that transparency into our operations. And then finally, in these difficult times, probably most importantly, is we are very, very committed to making sure we are attracting the best drivers, the best monitors, technicians, and management staff to our operations. And again, we'll talk to you a little bit about that this evening as well. So with that said, I'm going to introduce my team here. Behind me, our Regional Vice President for the South Region is Tony Vadrine. We've got Lisa Banks, our Area General Manager for the Southeast. We have Robbie Moore. Robbie Moore is our new Location Manager. And Rob Senecal, our Maintenance Shop Manager. And not with us tonight, she had a personal emergency, Anita Brown, our Senior Location Manager. So with that said, I'm going to turn things over to Tony, who's going to talk to you about our safety programs.
Thanks, Dean. Dean mentioned about our safety, and that's really something we're very passionate about. As an organization, we're dedicated to safety. And we understand it takes a lot of people, a lot of engagement with employees. It takes everyone to be on the same page. So we'll talk about something called Mobile Manager. Dean mentioned driver scoring. It's the same program that we've implemented last year, and we're starting to see some results. I wanted to share it with you. But for this year, up on the screen, Hampton County measures accidents or safety performance by miles between accidents. First Student uses an industry term called accident frequency ratio. But we compare them both just to see how you're doing, how you see us, how we're doing here. And so as you see, we're averaging about 177,000 miles between preventable and non-preventable, all collisions. But just non-preventable, just the preventable portion of that, we're averaging about 350,000 miles this school year so far through the end of October. 2 of these were, I said, non-preventable. These were, a rear end accident and some others. And the other one, 2 was side swipes. So not much history yet this year to measure, but you'll see in a minute that we measure all of our accidents, especially preventable, and we go in and learn how to address behavior. And specifically, I'll go to the next slide, something called Mobile Manager driver scoring. This is where we use leading indicators to determine where we have the most risk. So in the top left corner, as drivers operate each and every day, we're measuring 4 key elements. We're measuring hard braking, speeding, rapid acceleration, and idling. The 2 most important things there probably are hard braking and speeding. And so we design our system where we're coaching those individuals who are not achieving where we think they need to be on a scale of 1 through 5. And we rate them, we star them. And the drivers get very excited because they're competing against themselves. But the key behind this program is the coaching. And so all of our staff, they'll be assigned drivers, and they coach the drivers that are having challenges, whether speeding or hard braking or anything that could lead to an accident or collision. And you'll see in the top left corner there, our goal is to get at least 5%. And that's what we've been doing here, sometimes more, of coaching those drivers who are having challenges. So far this school year, we've coached 75 drivers. And you can see in that middle box there, the overall score, that is one individual driver. And there's a hat right above the box, and it shows what happened after the coaching session. And so they went from having challenging overall score, suddenly they bumped up at least another point on the star rating. Similar to the box below it, hard braking. At the moment of coaching, immediately the hard braking incidents dropped significantly down to 0, and have stayed that way throughout the month until the very end, where it looks like they had 1 or 2 hard braking sessions. So you can see this coaching process is a way to get the drivers motivated and to achieve a high score, and it'll get their star rating up there on the wall, showing them where they ranked. And everybody wants to get 5, obviously. So we got a little picture of a bulletin board that shows how we're displaying and recognizing our drivers for getting the high star ratings. And at the very bottom, just overall results, you'll see 60% of the drivers that were coached had improvements in their overall score. And 40% of the drivers we coached had a reduction in speeding events. So those are 2 significant items that I think we all believe that will lead to less collisions. And then finally, we can drill this down to the coach. And so Lakeisha Green listed up here, we drilled down and see her results with the drivers she coached. And you can see 60% of the drivers she coached showed improvement. In hard braking alone, 20% of the drivers she coached had improvements in hard braking. So, so overall, when we measure AFR, accident frequency ratio, 8.26 was our number for the first year, which is close to the average for suburban operation. So far this year, we're only at a 3.26. So significant drop in collisions, for preventable collisions, and we hope that's going to continue to lead to a new safety culture here in Hamilton County. The other piece of this that I think goes along with the coaching and the safety improvement is our driver recruiting and what we're doing to get more drivers. We've had a very challenging year across the country, as I'm sure Dean would attest to, but even here in the South, I can tell you a lot of locations are 30 and 40% short on their drivers. We are not there. We're much better conditioned here, but I want Lisa to come up and talk about what we're doing for recruiting and training and what we're doing about recognizing our drivers with compensation. So, Lisa?
Thank you, Tony. Good evening. So we just wanted to talk about some of the efforts that we have put forth to bring our driver staffing numbers. We know that's critical, that we have the right amount of drivers so we can get our students to school. We did a wage survey to look and see what was the competitive wage in this market. After doing that analysis, we were able to increase our driver wages to $20 an hour, which you'll look and see falls in that 75 percentile, offering that attractive wage. We totaled about a $250 investment, because $250,000 investment. We also looked at raising our sign-on bonus so that we could attract those CDL holders as well as non-CDL holders. So we raised that on both levels. And with those efforts that we have put in place, it has allowed us to attract the right talent, but not only to attract them, but to also retain them. We have a dedicated recruiter just for this specific region. That recruiter is working full-time to make sure that we keep that pipeline healthy so that if there is turnover, that we're attracting additional talent. We've also done some grassroots recruiting as well as, and we have a whole department back in our home office that supports that grassroots recruiting, that also supports the local recruiter that's here. In addition, we've done some advertisement. You might have seen on some of the local billboards that we've got 3 locations that we're targeting to, so people can see first student is here, we're hiring, we have a competitive wage, we have a great program to attract your talent and to also keep the talent. We've also run some radio ads and we've gotten some results from that. So we know how critical it is that we keep the driver staffing numbers where they need to be so that we don't have, you know, events where we don't have enough drivers or we're not able to retain our talent. So we are continuing to focus in on that. We watch the trends and we make adjustments where needed. Some of the other efforts that we have done, and we've seen some great improvements. We have such a fantastic maintenance shop here. Our shop manager is with us today, Rob Senegal. He's done an awesome job. He joined First Student in 2020. Our shop right now is a silver wrench, and we expect to achieve gold wrench sometime this year. We've got state-of-the-art technology where we use a tablet system that gives us more visibility, greater efficiency, and control with our team communication. And we're also a Center for Automotive Service Excellence. We are an ASE Blue Seal shop. And this time last year, we were working on achieving it. So we have achieved it. It was a great effort, training for our technicians. So we've got state-of-the-art equipment, but we've also got state-of-the-art talent. Lastly, I wanted to talk about was communication. And as you heard Dean talking, he talked about transparency. It's always important that we are continuously communicating with our partners. We're excited to be here in Hamilton County. We maintain a daily communication between the local team and our local team here with our location manager, senior location manager. At the end of the day, we have a system here where we close out to let everyone know that all the PM routes are completed, everything's gone safely. If there is any event, we're making sure that we're communicating that out to the field. We have formal weekly communication, and you'll see just a snippet of a template there, and that talks about any accidents or incidents, frequency status that may have occurred. We talk about on-time performance, any performance issues that may have arisen. This is where we address them also in this weekly communication. That's attended by our senior location manager as well as the local site manager here, and it copies back to myself. And everything rolls up to our vice president as well. We also have a formal monthly communication forum that we meet with the district so that we can review the previous 30 days performance. How did we do? How was the on-time performance? Did we have any issues with late buses? Anything that we might need to make some overall adjustment for, we can also discuss it in that forum, make any adjustments that are necessary, raise any concerns or anything that we need to discuss. We also hold it in that monthly forum. But that's also a part of that daily communication. Where do we need to make an adjustment? And we make that adjustment on the fly. Okay. Thank you. So we're open for any questions that anybody might have at this moment.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
I just want to thank you.
Thank you for
for
your
the
time.
presentation.
Yeah. Thank y'all for what y'all have done, and this year has been pretty smooth. Dr. Robertson, y'all's nameplates are
They didn't put
switched.
this in there, but I just wanted to publicly thank them. They are helping support our upcoming elementary school field trip to the UTC basketball game that is celebrating literacy gains for our elementary students, and made a generous donation of $10,000 to help support the transportation there. So just wanted to publicly thank Dean and Tony for supporting that effort and taking part in that. So they didn't put that in there, but I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware.
My grandson's going on that trip, and I appreciate it. He is so excited.
Yeah, thank y'all. Okay, we'll move into our agenda review. As you can see through the first part of the meeting, we have our pledge to the flag by the principal of Eastlake, and then our exemplars of excellence with our presentation on individual student success plans, our delegations, and then anything in the consent agenda. Any questions? I do have one just on field trips. I just want to confirm our policy on field trips right now. Are we full blast, or are we still some no, some yes?
So we have, as of second quarter, we have begun reviewing field trips. When you say full blast, we're always,
Yeah.
putting them through the lens of whether or not we think they're safe and reasonable and aligned to our learning outcomes. And yes, we are allowing overnight field trips that are related to sports and competitions, as well as other academically aligned. So we are looking at those on a case-by-case basis and open for field trips.
Ms. Thurman.
Yeah, just another one here, the open enrollment. I know that we talked about this, that students, I know before when we had open enrollment, that that students could be sent back to their home school at the semester. And now this time, I think it says they'll not be able to send back till the end of the year. One of the, and I think, is that per state, or is that our rule? I didn't know how much the state had.
It's our rule, and
Okay.
it's really in line with what we've done with magnet
Magnet
schools and
schools.
other programs. And we for years have said, at the end of the year, if you go to magnet school, you commit to a year. If you go open enrollment, you commit to a year. There's, as far as I know, nothing from the state. That's strictly our decision.
Yeah, we have the same policy for charters as well, that we ask families to make a year commitment, as well as the school to make a year commitment on the front end. However, there's sort of a tiered intervention approach if a kid has attendance issues, behavior
Right.
issues, where we're going to try to use multiple interventions before we would consider a transfer.
I just hate
back
to see
the
someone
school.
get stuck with a student that maybe is causing a lot of problems, and they're stuck with them till the end of the year when maybe it shouldn't be their problem. And which leads to another point. Just had a principal bring, and it was not a principal in my district, by the way, but that they were concerned because, like if you have, say, 25 open seats, okay, if the 25 apply, they get to come. Does the principal not have any say about those 25? Because I can just see that some principals would love for another school to take some of these students. Well, the principal, like even if they have 25 open seats, they don't necessarily have to take the 25 if they see that they're a discipline problem, a truancy problem, or an academic situation where the student is really, really struggling. I mean, is the principal going to have to take those students? Because
So-
before they didn't have to. It was the principal's discretion.
There's nothing, and Scott, please correct me if I'm wrong here, there's nothing written into the law that prevents a student from entering open enrollment. There's no disqualifiers for entering the open enrollment lottery.
That's correct. The General Assembly preserved the school system's discretion.
So we could do that, but the state doesn't make any.
The General Assembly gave us discretion to establish administrative procedures. And I was looking in my email, I sent y'all an update on this on October 20th, where I commented on some administrative procedures that Dr. Robertson had talked about in his office that they already use for schools of choice.
Mhm.
And since this is fundamentally a choice, you're choosing
Right.
to go, it makes good sense to have the same procedures that they already have in place. So I would have to, I defer to his office in terms of whether
Well, I know magnet schools don't have to take students that are very bad truant problem. Am I wrong in this?
So the first year, and to be clear, the 25, and Ms. Bronson corrects me if I'm wrong, but if we have more than 25, it's a lottery. It's not the first 25.
Correct.
Right, but if, I mean, that's what I'm
So
saying.
out of those 25, we have not put anything that would preclude them from being included in that 25. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
If that's something that we need to discuss.
Well, I think you might need to talk to the principals about that, because I just can see some principals getting some problem students from other schools if there's not something there that prevents that from happening, and I would just hate to see that
If
somebody get somebody else's
if we were going to do
issues.
something like that, it would have to be criteria-based.
Right.
You think the principal couldn't say, I don't want this child. It'd have to be criteria-based. For example, if you had someone who was chronically truant,
Right.
you wouldn't want them to take a magnet school seat that someone else might want to take. You wouldn't want them taking a seat at SADI that someone else might want to take, and so on and so forth. But the administration has things in place to address that already. I think it's really going to be more about adapting existing practices for a new opportunity that folks haven't had to this point.
Yeah, oh, well, I'm all for open enrollment, you know that, so I just,
heard that.
yeah, you've heard that for 20 years. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. Like I say, I just always know in the past, principals have had a lot of autonomy about if they just don't want, like I say, to get 25 problem students that maybe another school says, why don't you apply at so-and-so, they have open seats. And so I just think it's something you might need to speak with principals about. Some of them seem to be a little concerned. Thank you.
Mr. Walker.
Along the same lines, and I think we talked about it last time, when will the number of available seats be posted by school, or have they already, and where can a parent find that?
Yep, they were posted on November 1st. Application opens on the 15th, so they're on the website, listed by school and grade level. So,
Ms. Hill.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to add just a little bit of a foil, I guess, or what I would see as clarity to the conversation about whose kids we have. I mean, they're all Hamilton County School students, and while I understand where Rhonda's coming from with the practicality of a student that brings with them a lot of behavior challenges, we are in the public school business, and our job is to educate every kid in Hamilton County schools. Some schools are better fit than others. But I'm glad that the policy that we have and the procedures that we have right now are headed more toward looking at every child as a child who can learn, and in line with our equity policy that makes sure that we're removing barriers, not setting them up. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything else in the consent agenda? Okay, we will move to board matters. We have application for amendment to the charter agreement for chat prep. Anything there? And then we will be adding under board matters, and I think you have it in front of you, the PECA Special Question Committee, and the recommended committee members are listed on that. And we will be adding that to our agenda for Thursday. Quick question, and I think I probably ask this every year on this. How exactly are the people chosen to be on that committee?
So there are two members from HCEA that they self-select. We selected two members from our district as representatives. They could not already be on the PECA Collaborative Conferencing team. And then in speaking with Scott, we also added someone from PET as well.
The council for PET reached out to us, and they do this frequently, and said, we have a presence here, we'd like to be on the committee, and this is the person they proposed.
Anything else on that? Okay. You have legal services there, and then events and announcements on there. Do you want me to say anything?
I can. I put on everyone's table, and I think I was able to speak to most of you, that there's a draft copy of the graduation schedule. Principals have already seen it. They're good with it, but I just wanted to put it in front of you guys to make sure that there are no conflicts within your schools. I don't think that there are, but we will send this in an email tomorrow. Just thought you'd want to see a hard copy, but would like to make this finalized in public this week, so families can start making plans.
Okay, with that, we will adjourn. We will take about a 3-minute break to let our live stream get switched over, and then we will have our special called meeting.